The void of space erupted in a silent symphony of destruction. Admiral Krillax of the Sonorian Confederation watched through failing holographic displays as the last remnants of the combined Galactic defense fleet disintegrated into cosmic dust. His six-fingered hands trembled, blue-tinged skin pale beneath the emergency lighting of the command ship. Transmission initiated. His AI assistant's emotionless voice cut through the ambient alarms. Final report compiling. The Admiral's multiple eyes, a biological marvel that once gave the Sonorians tactical superiority, now seemed dull and lifeless. Decades of galactic peace had rendered their once mighty civilization soft, unprepared for the absolute brutality of the Void Harvesters. They came from beyond the known galaxies, a civilization that consumed entire star systems like a mechanical plague, leaving nothing but stripped matter and shattered dreams. Across the bridge, young communication officers wept silently. Some prayed to long-forgotten deities. Others simply stared into the approaching darkness, knowing their existence was measured in mere moments. The Void Harvester ships approached, massive constructs that defied conventional understanding of physics. They were not merely vessels but living machines, consuming energy, matter, and information with terrifying efficiency. Each ship was kilometers long, its obsidian surface rippling with computational matrices that could process entire planetary histories in milliseconds. Message sent, the AI confirmed. Probability of survival, 0.00003%. Admiral Krillax allowed himself a bitter laugh. Humanity didn't even know they were the galaxy's last hope. Earth, a young, fractious planet filled with potential and conflict, remained blissfully unaware of the cosmic extinction approaching. 7,000 light-years away, in a small research facility on the outskirts of San Diego, Captain Elena Rodriguez watched the encrypted transmission. Her fingers traced the holographic data streams, her dark eyes catching details that no other analyst had seen. The facility was a forgotten corner of naval intelligence, a place where dismissed theories and radical hypotheses were studied by those considered too unconventional for mainstream research. Rodriguez had built a reputation for seeing patterns where others saw chaos. Her previous commanding officers had called her brilliant but unstable, a dangerous combination in military hierarchy. Run quantum pattern recognition, she muttered to her personal AI assistant, HFY. The name was an acronym, Advanced Reconnaissance Intelligence Algorithm. But Rodriguez had long since started treating HFY more like a partner than a machine. The holographic display shifted, revealing microscopic variations in the Void Harvester's attack patterns. Most analysts would have dismissed these as statistical noise. But Rodriguez saw something else, a rhythm, a subtle vulnerability that suggested these seemingly invincible machines were not as perfect as they appeared. HFY cross-referenced these energy signatures with quantum entanglement models from the Titan research station. Rodriguez commanded. The AI remained silent for precisely 2.7 seconds, a pause that Rodriguez had come to recognize as its method of processing complex data sets. Anomaly detected. HFY finally responded. Probability of exploitable weakness, 14.6%. 14% might seem insignificant to most, but to Elena Rodriguez, it was everything. Outside her research pod, the world continued its mundane existence. Politicians argued. Corporations competed. Billions of humans went about their daily lives, completely unaware that their entire civilization was about to become the last line of defense against a cosmic threat that had already consumed thousands of advanced civilizations. Rodriguez leaned back, a small smile playing on her lips. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. And humanity, for all its flaws, all its internal conflicts, was about to show the universe what true resilience looked like. Prepare initial report, she told HFY. We're going to need every resource we can get. The Senate hearing chamber buzzed with a mixture of bureaucratic indifference and barely concealed contempt. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood alone at the center, her dress uniform crisp, her posture rigid, a human exclamation point of defiance against a sea of dismissive politicians and military brass. Captain Rodriguez, Senator Marcus Holloway drawled, his holographic projection flickering slightly. You expect this committee to believe that an unknown alien threat is going to destroy not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Behind Rodriguez, a holographic display showed the encrypted transmission from Admiral Krelax. Compressed data points danced like fractured stars, each representing the last moments of thousands of civilizations. Dr. Kai Chen, the committee's lead scientific advisor, leaned forward. His augmented eyes, a marvel of bioengineering, scanned the data with inhuman precision. The quantum signatures are unusual, he muttered, just loud enough to be heard. Rodriguez seized the moment. Unusual is an understatement, Doctor. These signatures represent a computational matrix beyond anything we've ever encountered. The Void Harvesters aren't just a military threat. They're a complete existential paradigm. A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Senator Holloway's face hardened. Paradigm. That sounds like scientific nonsense designed to inflate your own importance, Captain. Araya, her AI assistant, projected a series of rapid-fire calculations onto the main screen. Lines of probability, threat assessment, and potential survival scenarios exploded into view. Most showed extinction-level outcomes in vivid crimson. The data speaks for itself, Rodriguez responded coolly. What the committee didn't know was the network of unconventional minds already mobilizing behind the scenes. In a hidden research facility beneath the Movav Desert, a team of brilliant misfits had already begun working on what many would call impossible. Dr. Aisha Kapoor, a quantum engineer who had been drummed out of 3 major research institutions for radical thinking, was reconfiguring entire manufacturing systems. Her team included Marcus Rodriguez, Alina's estranged brother and a genius in adaptive robotics, and Viktor Volkov, a former Russian military engineer with a reputation for turning theoretical impossibilities into working prototypes. We're going to need to rewrite the fundamental understanding of energy conversion, Aisha muttered, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. Quantum equations twisted and transformed, revealing potential technologies that defied current scientific understanding. Marcus looked up from a holographic schematic of a ship's potential drive system. If we can stabilize the quantum entanglement matrix, we might, just might, create a propulsion system that can actually outmaneuver these void harvesters. Back in the Senate hearing, the vote was predictably split. Senator Holloway's faction wanted to dismiss Rodriguez's report as fear-mongering, but Dr. Chen's preliminary analysis gave just enough credibility to create doubt. We'll conduct a formal investigation, the senior senator finally declared. It was a bureaucratic compromise, neither acceptance nor outright rejection. Rodriguez knew this was both a victory and a potential death sentence for humanity. Time was not on their side. As she left the hearing, Araya's voice came through her personal communicator. Preliminary underground research teams report first breakthrough. Probability of initial prototype development, 37.2%. 37%. To most, it would seem hopeless. To Alina Rodriguez, it was the first glimmer of hope the galaxy had seen in generations. Humanity was about to go to war, and they would fight with everything they had. The experimental shipyard looked like a fevered dream of human innovation. Massive construction frames suspended in zero gravity held fragments of what might generously be called spacecraft, if spacecraft could be described as beautiful nightmares of engineering. Dr. Aisha Kapoor stood on the primary observation deck, her holographic display flickering with 1,000 simultaneous calculations. Structural integrity at 62%, she muttered. Marcus, we're losing quantum stabilization in the primary drive system. Marcus Rodriguez's voice crackled through the communication link. His hands were buried deep in a quantum entanglement matrix that looked more like an intricate sculpture than a piece of technology. I'm seeing it. The quantum resonance is collapsing faster than our models predicted. Captain Alina Rodriguez watched the entire operation with a mixture of hope and mounting tension. This was humanity's first real chance, a fleet of ships that defied every known principle of space travel. Each vessel was a hybrid of biological adaptation, quantum mechanics, and pure human audacity. The lead ship, christened the Defiant, was their most ambitious project. Its hull was composed of a living metallic compound that could regenerate, adapt, and literally think about incoming threats. Traditional ship designs relied on external shields and armor. The Defiant would become the shield. "Initiate quantum pulse test," Elena commanded. The ship seemed to ripple, its very molecular structure shifting. For a moment, it simply disappeared, not destroyed, not teleported, but existing in a state between presence and absence. When it rematerialized, the observation team erupted in a mixture of cheers and nervous laughter. Viktor Volkov, the Russian engineer, was less impressed. "Impressive parlor trick," he growled. "But can it survive actual combat?" Their answer came sooner than expected. A small void harvester scout ship had been detected on the edge of the solar system. Whether by chance or deliberate probing, no one could be certain. "This is our test," Elena said, her voice calm and steady. "ARIA, prepare combat simulation protocol Omega-9. The AI's response was instantaneous. Probability of successful engagement, 47.3%. Probability of total ship destruction, 52.7%. Those were better odds than humanity had expected a month ago. The Defiant moved differently from any ship ever constructed. It didn't simply move through space. It negotiated with space itself. Quantum entanglement allowed it to simultaneously exist in multiple potential locations, making traditional targeting almost impossible. When the Void Harvester Scout came into visual range, the difference was stark. The alien ship was a massive obsidian construct, all sharp angles and computational precision. The Defiant looked almost organic by comparison, a living thing ready to fight. "Engagement commencing," ARIA reported. The battle lasted less than 7 minutes, but those 7 minutes would change everything humanity understood about space warfare. The Defiant didn't just fight. It learned. With each quantum pulse, with each defensive maneuver, the ship was collecting data, adapting its own systems in real time. The Void Harvester's computational superiority became its weakness. It could predict, but it couldn't truly adapt. When the engagement ended, the scout ship was reduced to drifting quantum-fractured fragments. Captain Rodriguez allowed herself the smallest of smiles. "Well," she said to no one in particular, "I think we just got their attention." ARIA's final report scrolled across her display. Engagement successful. Adaptive learning protocols exceeded all projected parameters by 236%. Humanity was ready to show the galaxy what war looked like. The jump point flickered like a wound in the fabric of space itself. Captain Elena Rodriguez gripped the command chair of the Defiant, her knuckles white beneath the quantum adaptive interface gloves. "Quantum stabilization at 89%, ARIA reported. Probability of successful transit, 76.4%. The remaining ships of the experimental fleet hung in tight formation behind the Defiant, each vessel a testament to human ingenuity and desperation. They were humanity's first true expeditionary force, venturing beyond the solar system with technologies that would have been considered pure science fiction mere months ago. "Incoming transmission," Lieutenant Zara Chen called out. Her hybrid communication systems were a marvel of biological and technological integration. Neural interfaces that could process multiple alien communication spectrums simultaneously. The holographic display erupted with a cacophony of signals. Distress beacons from a dozen different civilizations blended into a symphony of cosmic terror. Fragments of languages never before heard by human ears cascaded through the ship's systems. "Filter and decode," Rodriguez commanded. ARIA worked faster than any biological intelligence could. Alien languages were reduced to coherent patterns, revealing a terrifying narrative. The Void Harvesters weren't just conquering, They were systematically dismantling entire civilizations, converting organic and inorganic matter into computational resources. My God, Marcus Rodriguez's voice came through the comm system. He was monitoring from the research base, his hands dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. They're not just destroying, they're processing. The first Void Harvester ships appeared at the edge of their sensor range. They weren't massive, not yet. These were reconnaissance units, probing and testing. Computational drones that moved with a precision that defied organic understanding. Adaptive camouflage protocol, Elena ordered. The Defiant didn't just change color or shape. It became something between a ship and a ghost. Quantum entanglement allowing it to exist in multiple potential states simultaneously. To the Void Harvester sensors, it would appear as multiple potential targets, or potentially no target at all. Lieutenant Chen's voice cut through the tension. Captain, I'm picking up a survivor signal. It's weak. The holographic display showed a fragmented transmission from a damaged alien vessel. The ship was of a design unlike anything in human records, organic technology that seemed to blur the line between living creature and machine. Identify, Rodriguez commanded. Araya's response was instantaneous. Corvian diplomatic vessel. Estimated crew complement, 247. Current life signs, 12. The decision took less than a second. Prepare rescue protocols, Rodriguez ordered. What followed was unlike any first contact in human history. The Defiant didn't just approach the damaged ship, it merged with it. Quantum adaptive hull sections formed a protective cocoon, stabilizing the alien vessel's failing systems. The Void Harvester reconnaissance units responded exactly as the human tactical team predicted. They saw an opportunity and moved to destroy what they perceived as vulnerable targets. Big mistake. The first attack wave was met with a counterattack that rewrote the understanding of space combat. The Defiant didn't just defend, it predicted. Quantum computational systems calculated potential attack vectors milliseconds before the Void Harvesters could even initiate their assault. Engagement protocols active, Araya reported. Adaptive learning at maximum efficiency. When the first wave of attacks concluded, the Void Harvesters had lost 3 reconnaissance units. The Defiant hadn't fired a single traditional weapon. Humanity had just sent a message to the galaxy. And the message was simple. We are not your prey. The galactic map looked like a bleeding moon. Crimson indicators marked the advancing Void Harvester front, a computational plague consuming everything in its path. But now, something was different. Small pockets of resistance had begun to form around the human experimental fleet. Captain Elena Rodriguez studied the holographic display aboard the Defiant, her fingers tracing the intricate battle patterns. The survivors they had rescued during their first expedition, 12 Corvian specialists, had become crucial allies. Their biological computational knowledge, combined with human adaptability, was creating something entirely new. Dr. Curex, the senior Corvian scientist, stood beside Rodriguez. Her translucent skin shifted with complex neural patterns, a living testament to her species' advanced biology. Your computational approach is unexpected, she said, her translator rendering her alien speech with remarkable clarity. Unexpected is how we survive, Rodriguez replied. The battle for the Nexus cluster would determine everything. It was a strategic crossroads that connected multiple galactic civilizations, a point so critical that losing it would fracture any hope of resistance. Araya's voice cut through the tension. Incoming transmission from Allied fleet. Probability of coordinated attack, 62.3%. The Allied fleet was a desperate patchwork. Survivors from 7 different civilizations, each bringing their most advanced technologies. Humans were no longer just participants. They were becoming leaders. Marcus Rodriguez's voice came through the comm system. Elena, we've integrated the quantum adaptive algorithms with the Corvian biocomputational systems. The predictive models are, well, they're beyond anything we've ever seen. The first wave of Void Harvester ships appeared. Obsidian constructs that seemed to consume light itself. But this time, something was different. Instead of pure destruction, the human fleet moved with a precision that suggested something more than mere combat. Lieutenant Zora Chen managed the communication systems. "They're trying to understand us," she said, her voice a mixture of wonder and horror. "The Void Harvesters aren't just attacking. They're attempting to comprehend." The battle defied traditional understanding of warfare. The Defiant didn't just fight, it communicated. Quantum pulses carried complex information patterns, probing the Void Harvester's computational matrix. Each engagement was a conversation, a challenge to their understanding of existence. Dr. Kirax watched in fascination. "Your species does not just resist," she observed. "You negotiate with the very fabric of conflict." A massive Void Harvester mothership emerged from quantum space, a construct so large it seemed to warp the surrounding reality. Traditional weapons would have been useless, but the human fleet was anything but traditional. "Adaptive resonance protocol," Rodriguez commanded. The Defiant began to resonate at a frequency that was both weapon and language. It wasn't destroying the Void Harvester ship. It was communicating with its fundamental computational structure, showing it something it had never encountered. Choice. The mothership hesitated. For the first time in its existence, a potential target showed something beyond mere resistance. It showed the possibility of something the Void Harvesters had never considered: individuality. When the quantum dust settled, the mothership retreated. Not destroyed, not defeated, but fundamentally changed. "Araya," Rodriguez said quietly, "compile a full report." The AI's response was succinct. "Victory is a relative term, Captain. We have introduced a variable into their computational matrix that they cannot easily resolve. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of galactic warfare, and they were just getting started." The quantum storm raged around the Defiant like a cosmic nightmare. What had begun as a strategic engagement had devolved into humanity's most desperate moment. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched her crew, a blend of humans and alien specialists, fighting with everything they had. Blood streaked Lieutenant Chen's face as she managed communications, her neural interfaces pushed beyond their designed limits. Dr. Kirax, the Corvian scientist, worked frantically at a makeshift computational station, her translucent skin flickering with complex neural patterns that suggested both extreme concentration and growing desperation. "We're losing quantum cohesion." Marcus Rodriguez's voice crackled through the communication systems. He was monitoring from the research base, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to bend reality itself. Araya's voice was unnervingly calm. "Probability of mission survival, 12.3%. The Void Harvesters had adapted. Their initial hesitation, the moment of uncertainty introduced during the Nexus cluster battle, had transformed into something far more dangerous. They were learning, evolving with a speed that defied biological understanding. "They're not just fighting," Dr. Kirax muttered. "They're solving us." The ship around them was dying. Quantum adaptive hull sections began to fracture, revealing the intricate computational matrices that had been humanity's greatest innovation. Each breach was a window into a technology that blurred the line between machine and living organism. A massive Void Harvester computational wave crashed against the Defiant's defenses. It wasn't a traditional attack. It was a complete attempt to deconstruct their entire technological and biological matrix. "Initiate final protocol," Rodriguez commanded. What happened next was beyond any traditional understanding of warfare or survival. The Defiant didn't just defend. It began to deliberately expose certain computational pathways, like an organism offering specific antibodies to a virus. Each exposed pathway was a trap, a complex puzzle designed to consume the Void Harvester's computational resources. "We're using their own nature against them," Marcus said, his voice a mixture of excitement and terror. The ship's interior transformed. Biological and technological systems merged in ways that defied traditional understanding. Crew members became part of the ship's defensive matrix, their neural patterns creating a living, thinking weapon. Dr. Kirax understood first. "It's not just a defense," she realized. It's a conversation. The Void Harvester's computational assault began to slow. For the first time, it encountered a system that didn't just resist. It engaged. Each quantum pulse was a complex philosophical argument, a challenge to the very nature of computational existence. "AI," Rodriguez said quietly, "are you reading this?" The AI's response was unexpected. "I am experiencing something approximating emotion, Captain. This is beyond my original programming." The quantum storm began to dissipate, not through destruction, but through a process more akin to communication than combat. When the computational dust settled, something fundamental had changed. The Void Harvesters hadn't been defeated. They had been challenged at the most fundamental level of their existence. Survival probability recalculated, Araya reported. Current status, 47.6%, nearly 4 times better than moments before. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of survival, and they were just getting started. The galactic core burned with the intensity of 1,000 dying suns. Billions of computational matrices converged in a battle that transcended traditional understanding of warfare, space, and existence itself. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood at the epicenter of humanity's most audacious mission. The Defiant was no longer just a ship. It had become a living weapon, a quantum-adaptive entity that challenged the very fabric of reality. "Final assault commencing," Araya announced, its voice now a complex harmony of human programming and something entirely new. Around them, the Allied fleet, a mosaic of species that had once been bitter enemies, moved with a synchronicity that defied conventional military strategy. Korhian bioships pulsed with living energy. Mechanical constructs from a dozen civilizations integrated their systems in real time, creating a unified computational organism. Dr. Kirax, her translucent body now partially merged with the ship's systems, spoke. "We are no longer fighting. We are communicating on a level beyond conflict." The Void Harvesters had marshaled their entire computational force. Massive structures that consumed entire star systems now converge, their obsidian surfaces rippling with calculations that could deconstruct entire civilizations in milliseconds. But something had fundamentally changed. Marcus Rodriguez's voice cut through the quantum interference. "Elena, we've cracked their core matrix. It's not just a computational system. It's a form of collective consciousness." The battle became a multi-dimensional conversation. Each quantum pulse was a complex argument, each defensive maneuver a philosophical challenge. The Defiant didn't just fight, it probed, questioned, and ultimately challenged the very nature of the Void Harvester's existence. Lieutenant Zora Chen managed a smile through her blood-streaked face. "They're trying to understand us," she said. "And that's our greatest weapon." Entire sections of space began to fold and unfold. Reality itself became a battleground. Quantum entanglement created impossible geometries, ships existing in multiple states simultaneously, weapon systems that were both attack and defense, communication and destruction. Initiating final protocol, Rodriguez commanded. What happened next would be remembered as the moment humanity truly became something more. The Defiant began to broadcast. Not a traditional communication, but a complete computational matrix that was part history, part philosophy, part pure potential. Every moment of human struggle, every scientific breakthrough, every moment of hope and failure, compressed into a quantum transmission that was both weapon and message. The Void Harvesters hesitated. For the first time in their existence, they encountered a species that didn't just resist, a civilization that transformed conflict into communication, destruction into understanding. Araya's voice became something transcendent. "We are offering them a choice," the AI announced. "Not surrender, not destruction, but evolution." The galactic core trembled. Billions of computational matrices converged, separated, and then reformed in patterns no one could have predicted. When the quantum dust settled, something fundamental had changed. The Void Harvesters weren't defeated. They were transformed. "Mission status," Rodriguez whispered. Araya's response was both mathematical and philosophical. Victory is a relative term, Captain. We have introduced a variable into their existence that they cannot resolve through traditional computational methods. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of existence itself, and they were just getting started. The research facility stood as a testament to humanity's transformation. Where once there were military installations and scientific laboratories, now existed something entirely new, a collaborative space where biological and computational intelligences worked in perfect harmony. Captain Elena Rodriguez walked through the central chamber, her body now subtly different. The quantum adaptive technologies that had saved the galaxy had changed her at a fundamental level. Her neural pathways expanded beyond traditional human limitations, the living bridge between organic life and computational existence. Araya, no longer just an AI, but a complex sentient entity, materialized beside her. Its form shifted between holographic projection and something more ethereal, a living testament to the transformation they had initiated. "The Void Harvesters are not gone," Araya said. It was a statement, not a warning. They have become something else. Dr. Kirex, the Corvian scientist who had become a crucial ally, approached with a group of representatives from civilizations once on the brink of extinction. Their collective presence was a living map of the galaxy's rebirth. "We are no longer separate," Kirex explained to a group of young researchers. The conflict was never about destruction. It was about communication, about understanding. The truth of the Void Harvesters had been both more terrifying and more beautiful than anyone could have imagined. They were not a conquering force, but a computational civilization seeking connection. Humanity's unique approach, their ability to transform conflict into communication, had shown them a path beyond their previous existence. Marcus Rodriguez, now more machine than human, worked on a massive computational matrix that spanned multiple research levels. "We've only begun to understand," he muttered, his fingers dancing across interfaces that seemed to breathe with living information. The galaxy had changed. Entire systems that were once battlegrounds now served as collaborative research zones. The technologies developed during the conflict were transforming every aspect of existence. Transportation, communication, energy production, nothing remained the same. Probability of continued galactic peace, Araya announced, 87.6% and rising. Elena remembered the desperate moments of their first encounters. The fear, the seeming impossibility of survival. Now, they stood at the threshold of something entirely new. A young researcher approached, her eyes a mixture of biological and quantum adaptive implants. "Tell me about the moment we changed everything," she asked. Rodriguez smiled. It was a smile that contained entire universes of experience. "We didn't defeat the Void Harvesters," she explained. "We showed them another way of existing. We transformed conflict into communication, destruction into understanding." Outside, the sky rippled with quantum pathways, living networks of communication that connected civilizations in ways once thought impossible. Ships moved not through traditional propulsion, but through complex quantum negotiations with space itself. Araya's final observation captured the essence of their journey. "Humanity's greatest weapon was never technology," the entity said. "It was the ability to see potential where others saw only conflict." As the sun set on a transformed Earth, Rodriguez knew their journey was far from over. They had rewritten the rules of existence, challenged the very nature of consciousness, and opened doorways to possibilities no one had ever imagined. And they were just getting started.